Today on the Healthful Pursuit Podcast.
I'm not ovulating and I would really like to because it's a sign of health, no? And I met a lot of doctors like that and a lot of endocrinologists that told me to just go back on the pill. And then I met one endocrinologist that convinced me that going on hormone replacement therapy was a good idea.
I would like to say that I perfectly planned today's episode, but I truly didn't. I was going through old episodes and found an episode that I did in 2015 that I then replayed in 2020 that I want to replay again in 2025 because this year marks 10 years that I have had a cycle after being diagnosed with hypothalamic amenorrhea, where every specialist said that I would never have a cycle again and there was no way to get my cycle back. So I've now had a period for 10 solid years. My period has been, ups and downs as I started to regulate, but wow, what a journey it has been. Now, when I got my period after having hypothalamic amenorrhea, I had been without a period for 8 years. 8 long years. The first couple of years, I could have cared less. I just loved that I could not think about it. But come year 5, 6, 7, I really started caring a lot. I went to a ton of doctors and nobody really had true answers for me. Their question was always, well, do you want to get pregnant? And at the time, Kevin and I weren't in a position to do that. And I said, well, no, but I should want to have a period, right? They're like, well, it's not really necessary for overall function. Gosh, was that wrong? If you have experienced a lack of period, you know that over time, it just feels like something essential is missing. It just doesn't feel right. And a period is such a sign of health in your menstruating years that you have that period. And it was really important for me to get it back. And so the next series of audios you're going to hear is a recording that I did in 2020, kind of replaying the events over the last 5 years that then introduced you to a original episode from 2015. So this is a culmination of the last 10 years of process from now having had my period for 10 years, in 2020 having had it for 5 years, and in 2015 just relaying the details of the last couple of months of me having my cycle again. Being 10 years outside of this, it's still, I got my period a couple of days ago and I went into the bathroom and Kevin was here and I just screamed, yes, I got my period. Like every period is just such a blessing and I'm so thankful for it. And I know that there are many women that struggle through period symptoms and just incredible PMS from all sides. And it is just horrendous. Some of the treatments and symptoms that women are told to just power through. I know when I first got my cycle back, things were okay, but come month or year, what would that have been? 3, 4, I really was dealing with a ton of symptoms, specifically PMS related symptoms. And my cramps, let me tell you, they were painful. I was drinking a lot of alcohol at that time. Estrogen was quite elevated and just things were not regulated well for me. I was having difficulty sleeping, the incredible breast pain that I would get before my cycle started. And then when my cycle started, I would get massive bloating, diarrhea, cramps. I couldn't get out of bed for the first 2 to 3 days. So I've really worked on this over time. I find some of the biggest triggers for me are eating too many refined carbohydrates. In my training program now, on heavy days, I'm hitting anywhere between 350 to 500 grams of carbohydrates a day. And when I get up to that 550, let me tell you, it's not all whole foods because I just can't hit that amount with whole foods. I would just be digestively a mess. And so I have relied more heavily on quick carbohydrates like dextrose and candies and those sorts of things. And I have noticed just how big of an impact this has had on my cycle to the point where I know I can't keep up with this training volume, not because I don't think my body can handle it. It's actually felt really good with this volume, but with the diet alongside, it's just made such an impact to how I experience my periods that it's just not for me. It's just not for me. I got to go back to less refined carbs. And when when this was happening, when I was getting my cycle back and my cycles were quite painful, I was craving more sweets and carbs through my cycle. So I was eating those things and then having worse cycles. And so for me, it was really about like cutting it off, detoxing estrogen a little bit, regulating my cycle through DIM supplementation. And when I did the DIM supplementation timed with the areas of my cycle where my estrogen was higher, that really regulated things out, made it so that I wasn't craving as much sugar, and then made it so that I could kind of get ahead of some of these issues. Another big piece that I've noticed through hormone regulation, now 10 years out from having amenorrhea, is how much my liver needs support ongoing. Castor oil packs, liver support. In a recent episode, I was chatting about the liver support supplements that I take on a daily basis. They include KL support from Cellcore. I also choose to take taurine and bile acid factors. And I find most women in the phase where our cycle should be happening monthly, right? When we're menstruating, we should be menstruating. I find most women who have issues with cycle oftentimes have an issue with liver, and it's not enough to just eat liver supporting foods. We have to come at it from all angles, not just the bitter foods, but also some supplementation, castor oil packs, red light over the liver to really assist liver support. The liver is such a key area to support when we're having hormone issues. Supporting the liver is crucial for hormone regulation because the liver plays a central role in metabolizing and detoxifying hormones. It helps break down excess hormones such as estrogen into forms that can be excreted from the body, specifically through bile output. Okay, so when we don't have enough bile output, we're going to be developing excess estrogen symptoms, which then, if we're constipated, we're not going to have that estrogen exit the body, and it just causes this whole issue. And when we have excess estrogen, we're going to have mood swings, weight gain, and other metabolic issues. And the liver detoxification processes also ensure that hormones are processed efficiently, even reducing the risk of hormonal accumulation related to health complications. So maintaining a healthy liver through proper nutrition, lifestyle choices, hydration. This includes protein, because protein amino acids are required for proper liver detoxification, and really, really focusing on liver supplementation. Like, I personally think, and in my practice, sometimes it can be challenging to encourage a client to take 2 or 3 liver supplements ongoing. I mean, I didn't even count spore powder, and I take 6 capsules of that a day to just help with the liver. And the liver, I was telling a client today, actually, we think of the heart as one of the top organ systems. Like, without the heart, life is not possible. The liver is right up there. Like, that is second priority in my mind. The liver is absolutely essential. And I think so many of us discount it. And I think I could have gotten my period back sooner, and I could have regulated the period that I was given after all of that by really, really focusing on liver. And so these last couple of years, having had my cycle now 10 years, my focus really has been liver. And when I support my liver, my cycles are better. Period. End of story. That's always the way of it. And so I'll cut over to today's episode. Now, this audio that you're about to hear is my summary in 2020 of what it has been like having a period for the last 5 years. And then that audio will cut over to the time in 2015 that I recorded. So you get this full 10 hours or 10 hour. No, this episode is not 10 hours. You get this full 10-year spread in just less than an hour to truly understand what this process has been like. I hope this is an encouragement for any of you struggling with hypothalamic amenorrhea, or perhaps you know a friend that's struggling with hypothalamic amenorrhea. I know one of the biggest recommendations that I was told time and time and time again is you just need to eat more. And in my case, that didn't help. I'm sure it got me closer to it, but that was not the thing that moved the needle. And so if you're just feeling really discouraged, I hope me sharing my story brings you a sense of hope that you can get your cycle back. I got my cycle back. Every single doctor, I think I went to maybe I say it in the audios, it was a substantial amount of doctors, and all of them said just at that phase of my life, I would not be able to get my cycle back. And I did. So you might be able to also. Okay, enjoy. Hey, my name is Leanne, and I'm fascinated with helping women navigate how to eat, move, and care for their bodies. This has taken me on a journey from vegan, keto, high protein to everything in between. I'm a small town holistic nutritionist turned 3-time international bestselling author turned functional medicine practitioner, offering telemedicine services around the globe to women looking to better their health and stop second guessing themselves. I'm here to teach you how to wade through the wellness noise to get to the good stuff that'll help you achieve your goals. Whether you're seeking relief from chronic ailments, striving for peak performance, or simply eager to live a more vibrant life, this podcast is your go-to resource for actionable advice and inspiration. Together, we'll uncover the interconnectedness of nutrition, movement, sleep, stress management, and mindset, empowering you to make informed choices that support your unique health journey. Think of it as quality time with your bestie mixed with a little med school so you're empowered at your next doctor visit. Get ready to be challenged and encouraged while you learn about your body and how to care for it healthfully. Join me as we embrace vitality, reclaim our innate potential, and discover what it truly means to pursue healthfulness.
Today, I wanted to share with you my amenorrhea story. And for those of you who don't know what amenorrhea is when you don't get a period. Now, this lack of period could be because you never got a period as a teenager or a young adult, or it could be a lack of period where you had your period for a while and it went away. Now, the recording I'm going to share with you was a recording that I did back in 2015 after I had gone 2 full months of getting my cycle. I remember being so excited. This was also the time that I released my second digital program, Fat Fueled. I had written the Keto Beginning a couple months before. And as soon as I got my period back, I developed an entire program to help women understand their bodies and use a ketogenic diet to balance their hormones. And so Fat Fueled is still available. That then fueled my passion behind Happy Keto Body, which you can find at happyketobody.com. And this experience was like a pivotal moment for me. Now being February 16th, 2020, we're talking over 4 years. My cycle has had its ups and downs. After I recorded this, my cycle started extending past, I think it was like 35 days, and it stayed there for a couple of years. And then it got very consistent at 28 days. And then, as you heard recently in my Why You Should Never Go Off Thyroid Medication, oh my gosh, your thyroid is so important episode from a couple of episodes ago on the podcast, I went off my thyroid meds and it caused my cycles to come every 19 days. And unfortunately, at the time of this recording, I'm still experiencing 19-day cycles, which I'm pretty bummed about. It means I'm not ovulating. And I really took a massive step back by going off my thyroid meds. But hey, you live, you learn. I forgive myself. Now I understand how important it is. And, the cycle is and I do touch on this in the recording, but the cycle is such a key aspect of our health, and understanding that you don't need to get blood tests. You don't need to find doctors and do all these things and spend all this money. If your cycle sucks, like it's short, like 19 days, or the bleed is really light, or the bleed is really heavy, or the blood is very clotted, or you're having a lot of pain, or you're dealing with a lot of acne, these are signs that your hormones are imbalanced. So wondering what's happening to me and maybe I have this, that, and the other thing. The most important thing we can do is look at our period and start adjusting things. And we know we're on the right track when we don't have as much pain, we're not dealing with as many symptoms, or our periods are coming, like a perfect 28 to 31-ish days. These are the signs that we want to look for. So before we get to the recording that I made back in 2015, if you have questions about today's content, you can head on over to healthfulpursuit.com/contact and ask me. Okay, enjoy.
Dude or dudettes, I kind of spilled the beans 2 weeks ago in my video about what 12 months of eating high fat did to my body, but basically I got my period back. If you didn't watch that video, I've linked to it below and also to the side. I had amenorrhea for 8 years and I have been ovulating now for 2 months and I have had 2 cycles, completely beautiful and amazing. I never thought I would ever say that about getting my period, but I gotta say, when you've been without it for 8 years, it's freaking awesome to get it back. So today I'm going to be talking about all things amenorrhea. The first one is a loss of period where it never started. So say you're like 14, 15, 16 and you never got your period and it just keeps continuing. And then stage 2 is where you had your period at some point and then it went missing. I shared my amenorrhea story and lack of period story and hormone replacement stuff on my blog a couple of years ago, and I was blown away with how many women suffer from this very thing, either because of their body weight, or maybe they had an eating disorder, or they're on birth control and they went off birth control and they never got their period. And that was really my story. I went on birth control when I was 13. I had had my period for maybe 3 months, and it was super painful and really heavy and just horrible. And I got really bad acne, and I wish I would have known what I do now, because it was just an imbalance of hormones and all I had to do was really balance that out. But unfortunately I went on birth control, and I was on birth control until I turned 21. And I went off birth control because I was studying holistic nutrition at the time at CSNN and learned that birth control wasn't all so good. So I got off of it. That was in 2007. And so I had been 8 years on the pill. I'm 29 years old now. So I was 21. My period never came back. And for about 5 years, I didn't care. I was 21. I could swim whenever I wanted. I didn't have to worry about things. I saved like $100 on feminine products every month. So it really wasn't an issue. And at that time I was thinking, I don't want babies. So like, who cares if I don't get my period? Whether or not you want babies should not dictate whether you have your period or not. So if you're having issues with fertility and your cycle, regardless if you want kids or not, it's super important to get your cycle on track.
Want all the benefits of bone broth without the hassle of simmering bones for hours? Now you can have it in seconds. Paleo Valley's new savory original grass-fed bone broth protein is a rich collagen-packed way to nourish your body with ease. It's made from 100% grass-fed pasture-raised beef bones, not hides, so you get the full spectrum of amino acids that support skin, joints, digestion, and metabolism. Just mix a scoop with hot water for a warm, comforting broth, or use it to elevate soups, sauces, and even casseroles. It's a simple way to support your health without processed ingredients or artificial flavors. One serving gives you 15 grams of collagen protein, 3.4 grams of glycine, and the same gut healing benefits as homemade bone broth, all in a form that mixes instantly and tastes incredible. Visit paleovalley.com/Leanne to save 20% and try it risk-free for 60 days. That's paleovalley.com/Leanne.
Fast forward a couple of years and I was finally in a place, like I was getting married. Kevin and I were really happy, and I knew that this was an issue and I knew I had to deal with it. So I started meeting with gynecologists, and then they would ask, like, do you want babies? And I would say, well, not right now, or maybe not ever. And they're like, why do you care? And I was like, because it's important, because I'm not ovulating and I would really like to, because it's a sign of health, no? And I met a lot of doctors like that, and a lot of endocrinologists that told me to just go back on the pill. And then I met one endocrinologist that convinced me that going on hormone replacement therapy was a good idea. And so I got my period a month after I started with the hormone replacement therapy. So this was an estrogen patch that I wore on almost like my butt, like right above my butt. And I wore that all the time, and I replaced it, I think it was like every 3 days. And then on the 1st to 10th day of every month, I would take a progesterone pill. And I kept that up for 9 months, was getting my period. All was awesome. The doctor was like, yeah, everything's so great. We don't even need to test you. But I wasn't ovulating, and I just felt crazy, like straight up mad crazy. And I was gaining weight like mad. And I don't care if I'm gaining weight for health. Like if gaining weight helps me get healthier and helps me be balanced, totally awesome with it. But I felt crazy. And I remember the doctor saying, so you're likely not going to feel so good when you go through this therapy, and you're probably going to gain a lot of weight. And in the back of my head, I was thinking, okay, but if we're trying to get me balanced, why would I feel like garbage? And so after 9 months, I just figured I've been having this cycle for 9 months. Maybe if I go off of it, it'll boost my body, as all the doctors said. Well, I went off of it and I didn't get my period again. And at that point, I felt like I was going to give up, but then I persevered and I kept going because I knew that I would discover what worked well for my body if I just kept trying things. And so I met my naturopath who specialized in women's hormones back in May 2014. So I didn't waste any time. I went right back at it. And she introduced me to keto, and I got going with the whole keto thing, and my hormones really started to increase. By December of 2014, my hormones were at the highest they had ever been. My cholesterol was high, which is a good thing when you're trying to heal your hormones. It's the precursor for all of your hormones. So you want your cholesterol to be high enough that your body can use that cholesterol to make all of the hormones. Ordered every blood test, every urine test, every single test, x-ray, ultrasound, everything, to really get an idea of what my body was saying. And reviewing those results was like the most liberating and most scary thing probably I've ever done. Well, one of the most anyways, because it was so evident that I had been spending a lifetime of depleting my body. And when I was reviewing these results with this doctor, it was like somebody just hit me over the head, like, Leanne, wake up. Like, you have to wake up or you are going to, well, in a way, die early. Like, there's only so much this body can handle. And that was a major wake-up call to me. So after that meeting, I shifted towards more of a fat-fueled lifestyle, which I have outlined in my newest program, Fat Fueled. I switched to a fat-fueled lifestyle where I am still burning fat as fuel, but I am being a lot more lenient and a lot more open. And in fact, by doing this, I'm eating more ketogenic than I ever have before. I'm just not stressing about it. The days leading up to when I got my period, dun dun dun, let's go through them.
I've been using MitoPure for over a year, and I can honestly say it's made a huge difference in how much I'm able to take on both in and outside the gym. After my workouts, I recover faster, feel less fatigued, and have the energy to keep up with everything else on my plate. MitoPure works by supporting cellular health at the foundation, promoting renewal with a precise dose of urolithin A to recharge your cells and clear out the old dysfunctional ones. Whether your goal is to regain energy, build strength, or simply feel more confident in your skin, MitoPure is the perfect partner for your journey. It's clinically proven to combat age-related cellular decline, and I can feel the results every day. For January only, Timeline is offering 33% off your first order. Don't wait. Unlock your potential with MitoPure today. Go to timeline.com/KDP33. That's TIMELINE.com/KDP33.
I ovulated 18 days before I had my period. I traveled from Calgary to Frankfurt, was on my own for a little bit, met up with family and friends, and Kevin, he was there for work, and it was amazing. But I was on a plane, flew to Germany, got to Frankfurt, and the next morning, that's when I got my period. That night, I had a huge bowl of yogurt, like dairy-free yogurt. It was huge. I was just so hungry and so tired. It was yogurt with coconut oil and like grain-free granola and salt. I was just so hungry, and berries. It was so good and so nourishing. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm just so happy to be here. And I didn't have any stress. I'd taken 10 days off work, and I was just ready to be in Germany, in my husband's home country, and just experience everything that was ahead of me. And the next day I woke up, went to the bathroom, and holy crap, it happened. It wasn't until I found the doctor that was willing to support me and listen to me and respect my experience that I felt supported. It wasn't until my hypothalamus, so your hypothalamus, I imagine like the master computer and the record player that plays in your head constantly, saying this is not safe, we can't have this going on. Until I took that record, smashed it, and moved on and stopped tracking and stopped worrying about all of the things, was when I really let go of control, that I ended up gaining control in a way. And I never gave up, regardless of what doctors were saying. If it didn't resonate with me, I said thank you, and I left their office. You know, I've met with many women that put so much trust in their doctors, and if you found a good doctor that resonates with you and you totally understand each other, awesome. But if the doctor's saying things and you're like, what? no, and then you agree to it just because they're a doctor. Like, no, it's your body, it's your life, it's your responsibility. And so I just kept telling myself that constantly, all the time. I will find someone to support me, and in the meantime, I will do X, Y, and Z. And it led to marvelous things. But the fact that I got my period, like, I know that everything that I'm doing is working. And up until this point, while I made momentous changes, eating high fat and being okay with animal fat has been like the spark that ignited my journey toward being here right now. And so really that's what my newest book and program, Fat Fueled, is all about. It's about taking the ketogenic framework and making it work for women that are healing from imbalances. And I got news for you. I would say like 95% of you watching right now probably has imbalances, usually to do with your thyroid or adrenals or sex hormones. If your periods are irregular, if you suffer from depression, anxiety, candida, like all of these imbalances, if you don't feel like $1,000,000, then there's work that needs to be done within your body. And I really feel and believe and am living truth that fats can help take us there, but there needs to be some adjustments. And I want to start the conversation about the fact that keto doesn't have to just be 20 grams of carbohydrates all of the time. While that may work really great for men, which unfortunately the space is saturated with men talking about this, it's really about how can we use fats to heal and how many carbohydrates are okay for our body with where we're at right now. Our bodies want to be healed and balanced. They want to be at a specific weight. They know what's good for us. And so if we just step aside and let our bodies totally rock it, we may be surprised at where it goes. And that's definitely been my experience through eating this way and discovering a ketogenic eating style that works best for me and maintaining being fat fueled, but also understanding that my body is different from your body, that will be different from Sally's body down the street, and really honoring that. I've linked below this video for everything that I've ever talked about hormones, amenorrhea, hormone replacement therapy. So if you want to check it out, do it. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about all the things high fat, feel free to grab my book linked up here and also below. And if you want to hear from me every Wednesday about all things high fat, hormones, who knows what else I'll be talking about in the future, adrenals and thyroid, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Bye.
Okay, next up on the podcast, Wednesday, February 19th, we have episode 233. Dr. Nikki Steinberger is coming on the show to chat about your thoughts and how they affect your health. Then Sunday, February 23rd, episode 234, we have Isabella Kronbach Teisver. I hope I said her name right. She's taking over the show, chatting about the 4 keys to a balanced life. I will see you then and have a great rest of your week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Healthful Pursuit Podcast. Join us next Tuesday for another episode of the show. If you're looking for free resources, there are a couple of places you can go. The first to my blog, healthfulpursuit.com, where you're going to find loads of recipes. The second is a free parasite protocol that I've put together for you that outlines symptoms, testing, and resources to determine whether or not you have a parasite, plus a full protocol to follow to eradicate them from your life if you need to. That's available at healthfulpursuit.com/parasites. And last but certainly not least, a full list of blood work markers to ask your doctor for so that you can get a full picture of your health. You can grab that free resource by going to healthfulpursuit.com/labs. The Healthful Pursuit Podcast, including show notes and links, provides information in respect to healthy living, recipes, nutrition, and diet, and is intended for informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, nor is it to be construed as such. We cannot guarantee that the information provided on the Healthful Pursuit Podcast reflects the most up-to-date medical research. Information is provided without any representation or warranties of any kind. Please consult a qualified health practitioner with any questions you may have regarding your health and nutrition program.